Hey, you internet blogger, you. Are you trying to rank in Google but have no idea where to start? Are you completely clueless and don't know where to begin and you've tried to rank stuff and it just doesn't rank at all? Well, then today's video might be of interest because I'm going to show you how I create content for my sites. I've got a site here. It ranks very well for different keywords. I've got like 1,700, not that the number matters at all, but my positioning is pretty decent, top 10 for the most part, decent traffic, and the site gets some serious traffic. All right, I'll show you guys another site here. This one's also pretty decent. I'm in, I'd say like mid-teens for this. I've got a couple high-ranking keywords here, and it's a similar thing. I just haven't put as much time into this one, and it's not as much of a high-earning niche, so I'm a little like, whatever. This is more like a tester site. And then I've got a real tester site here, and this one is, you know, it's not great. I'm not going to say it's great, but it is the kind of domain that if I put the content on the site, it will start to rank. And that's definitely the case of this domain, where I could pretty much put something up and like in a couple days it starts ranking. So it really comes down to how strong the domain is, how good the domain is, etc. All right, so we'll go over to the trusty whiteboard here, and we'll just show you guys that when you have a site, just talk a little bit about how this works, is you want to create content for the site. So all these lines are your posts, okay? Posts and pages and helpful stuff, okay? So all these different things spider out, and they're going to bring you, you know, they might bring you like 10 people a month, 5 people a month, 20 here, 20 there, whatever. But once you add all this up, that's really how you get your traffic to the site, right? So, you know, if you have 100 pieces of content on the site, you might end up with, you know, let's say between 100 and 500 people on the low end going to your website each and every month, and we need some content, okay? So how does the content strategy work? Because this is actually very important. Well, assuming you have a niche, and if you don't know what a niche is, go find a video that talks about niches. But let's say you have a niche. Let's say you're doing laptops for coders, okay? Anything, whatever the niche is. Your website might be about computer screens. It might be about dry erase markers, okay? It might be the best dry erase boards on Amazon, okay? That can be your niche. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you have a method of getting paid and that you're happy with the amount of money that you're going to get paid for these things. And then you need a strategy. So let's say we were doing best whiteboards, okay? What does that mean? So that means that you're going to go out there and you're going to buy 5 to 10 of these whiteboards. You're going to document the process of installing them, testing them, you know, using them a lot, coming up with pros and cons, etc. And you're going to put all of this into a video and a blog post. This seems to be the best strategy that I've found, is basically doing it this way, by hitting it with both a video and a blog post, putting the video privately hosted on the blog is going to get this to boost pretty much instantly. Now, obviously, again, it depends on what your actual strategy is in regards to the website, and it depends if your website actually ranks for anything. Because if the site doesn't rank or have any power to it, well, that is going to be a problem. The sites that I buy tend to already have these rankings. These are websites that have either expired or they've ended up in an auction somewhere, and they used to show up for different keywords. And what I'm doing is I'm rebuilding the site, and then once I rebuild what was there, it starts to rank back in Google, and then I could start adding in the other content, the stuff that really starts to make me money on top. So for instance, if I was doing best whiteboards here, okay, let's say I bought a domain that already had the rankings for whiteboards. Let's say it was boards.com, okay? and let's say it used to rank for all this stuff in Google, you're going to rebuild that site exactly how it was in terms of the URL slugs. Okay, so we just want it to match what used to be there. And then you're going to start adding in the other stuff. And the other stuff is going to be a high ticket affiliate offer of some kind. So you say to me, okay, well, what's the actual offer going to be? Well, let's jump over. So it's a ClickBank offer. I think I could just put in whiteboard. Where was it? Witchcraft. Witchcraft. You could do some witchcraft if you want. It was AI Soulmate, AI Machine, Ty Lopez, Master Dashboard. It was a doodle maker, Instadoodle. Here we go. Check this out. Breathtaking whiteboard animation videos in 3 clicks. So this is literally a whiteboard offer. It pays you guys can't see that, $32 a conversion. It's pretty decent. Gravity score doesn't mean much, but what it does mean is basically that it has sold recently. So that means that somebody has been able to sell this. It doesn't mean that it's a good offer. It doesn't mean it's a bad offer. It just means that it has sold. And this is, according to their actual sales page here, it looks like a really good product to me. I've looked at it in the past. Let's say you wanted to start creating some actual content for your site. All right, so let's just recap really quick, okay? So before you do anything at all, we have to know how we're getting paid, okay? I've seen a lot of people will start a site, or I don't know what they're doing, but they will do a whole bunch of work without figuring out how they get paid, okay? So we have to have an offer that earns us money, something to actually make all this effort worthwhile. Because if we just run headfirst into creating a bunch of content for nothing, well, we're going to literally earn nothing. So the whole point of this is to earn money, all right? So high ticket offer, we're going to look at the niche and we're going to research it, okay? We're going to find keywords that are low competition and easy to get. Then we're going to actually do the research. We'll use AI to do this research for the topics, okay? Then we're going to use my fancy WordPress plugin, and we're going to actually create the content, and I'll show you guys how that works. It's actually insanely easy. So create content. And then basically what we're going to do is we're going to link back to our offer. Link to offer. It's very simple. That's literally all we're going to do. Find a method of getting paid, dig into the niche, look at the keywords. We're going to actually do the research so that we create good content. We're going to make the content. We're going to link to the offer. Okay, so what's our niche going to be? Well, for this example, I've got a site that I've neglected and I don't pay any attention to. So it's a site that really is starting to rank for like errors, different kinds of computer errors and stuff. And this is an entire niche. It's not even a niche because it's just a topic that people have issues with their stuff. But we're looking at SQL. So SQL is basically a database. It's a programming language for databases, okay? It's not important. Don't pay attention to that. What matters is that when you put SQL into Google search, we could see that there's an ad here. So people are spending money on this keyword, okay? It does exist. Now, people run these things on cloud services. The first thing that you see is Microsoft Azure, okay? Now, DigitalOcean is a provider of cloud services, and they have an affiliate offer. So we have our method of making money. We earn 10% for every user we refer to DigitalOcean. And not only that, but they have a $200 credit when you sign up with my link, and it's a recurring revenue model, which means that if you sign them up, you will continue to earn with their program as the customer uses it. So think of it this way. It's compound interest. If I sign up one person, I'll earn, 30 cents a month. not a big deal. If I sign up 300 people, well, now maybe I'm earning $20, $30, $50 a month just from those people. Now make it 1,000, make it 5,000 people, make it more than that. All of a sudden, you've got a really high amount of revenue just with a little teeny site like what we're talking about. All right, so it's kind of like playing the long game. So I've got this site, I've got a bunch of like random ass blog posts on here. Let's not worry about that, but let's actually hunt for keywords so that we can actually see what the content is that we should be making, okay? So just looking at the results here, this is how I recommend doing the research. SQL tutorial, that looks like a very powerful site, so we'll take a look at that. We've got Wikipedia, ads, more ads, okay? Amazon, Microsoft. I'm looking for a smaller site like a Reddit, something like this, because we want to see what naturally, like obviously Microsoft and Amazon is going to be at the top of the results for this because they are the authority sites when it comes to all this stuff. So those are like the obvious choices. What we want to find is more of the blog post content because we want to see what the sites are that are similar to us. So that way we can kind of emulate their success. Because if we go for the Microsoft site, that's going to be really difficult. But if we find a blog that's sort of like us, maybe it's a more flushed out version, SQL Bolt, that's interesting. Let's just see this one. This is more in tune with what we're doing, okay? So this is actually going to be our model site. Let's take a look here and let's see what we show up for here, okay? So this site gets some decent traffic. It's got a ton of keywords. It looks like it's been around for at least 6 months. It's probably been around for a long time. And let's take a look at the keywords. So now we're in the research phase, okay? So we're taking a look. So SQL Bolt, that might be an actual product. Let's see. They're interactive lessons. So it allows people to understand like how this stuff works. So that's very interesting because first of all, it shows up very well for SQL. And the people that are interested in learning this stuff are probably interested in building this stuff. So this is actually an ideal site to have something like a DigitalOcean offer on it because the people that are learning all this stuff are going to want to actually start to build and play with the tool itself. So that is kind of like an easy sale. So anyway, they rank for themselves. And we're looking here at the KD, okay? So we've got quite the mix of different stuff. But SQL order of execution, that's interesting. That's easy. Execution order, pretty much the same thing. Let's open that up. Take a look in a sec. Execution order. Okay, filters, joins, practice. Let's see here. Aggregate functions. Okay, we've got 3,000 people a month. Very easy to rank for. Okay, we'll open that up. And actually, let's pull up this page. I love Ahrefs because I can now pull this up. Let's actually look at the keywords for the page that showed up. It's more of the advanced stuff, I guess you could say. So we've got all kinds of like aggregate functions and aggregates in and whatever, and you can see the traffic kind of tapers off. But we've got like partition over, Windows functions for SQL. And what we want to do is we actually want to see what the aggregate functions are. So let's see what this actually comes back with. So we've got the aggregate functions. So these are the actual aggregate functions themselves. We're going to actually check this site as well. I'm just throwing everything into the tool here. Let's get some decent traffic, decent keywords. I'm sure, let's see. So it doesn't really get into the nitty-gritty of the actual keywords themselves. So for instance, min, max, count, stuff like that. But if I were to put count into my tool, let's see what comes up. The traffic is probably paltry. It's probably so small it's not even worth our time, but let's just see. So is count an aggregate function? Okay, count aggregate function. So we've got very low traffic here, but again, it's very easy keywords. So we're trying to come up with a cloud of content that we can create and then start hammering it in some kind of sequential order. Okay, so SQL aggregate functions, I kind of like that, and I think there's some good traffic in it. So we've got, the 3,000 people just for that, plus all the actual aggregate function stuff. So that will be our super niche, if you want to call it that. And I'm not even going to really look at this other stuff because it kind of doesn't matter. I already want to go with what we picked. So I'm going to hop over to Gemini. And we're going to just go, I'm using 2.5 Pro. You could use whichever one you want. I'm on a free trial right now, so I've got 2 weeks of added bonus. So we're going to use that. What is the search intent behind someone looking up SQL aggregate functions? See what it says. So I'm going to show you guys the manual process of creating the content and the easy way of doing it. So we'll show you the more difficult way first, and then I'll show you the easy way. So we've got the actual search intent behind it. That's the thinking. Okay, what are the use cases? Why bother? When would you use each? It's to transform raw data into meaningful insights, etc. Okay, cool. Now it's going into it, right? Create 5 clickbaity titles for a blog post on the topic. And the reason why we're doing the clickbaity titles is because we want to get the AI thinking in a different way. All of the content that is showing up in Google for this stuff is very linear. It's on the nose. It's hitting exactly what the search is. Okay, so it's gonna, all these different sites kind of blend in together because they're all giving you the same data. Understanding the order. It's all the same. Okay, what we want to do is we want to stand out on our own so that we have a chance of actually getting picked up in the results. Because if we just put out the same stuff, it's going to blend in with everything else. It's not really going to make a difference. So the 5 SQL functions that will get you a raise this year, now we're starting to think about jobs and money and how I can actually improve my life and stuff like that. People would actually want to click on that, and it's helpful content in the eyes of Google. So I really like that. Let's look at these other ones. They're okay. Let's say outline a blog post on the topic for the title of that. And let's just see what it comes back with. Okay, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to pull open Grammarly, which is absolutely key. If you're doing any content creation, you need to check for plagiarism. I can't say it enough. Most people don't bother with this step. They don't want to pay the $25 for 3 months of Grammarly. Makes absolutely no sense. But you want to check for the plagiarism, because if you show plagiarism on your site, they're not going to rank you, and it's going to tank the site, and it's all bad. So don't do that, please. Let's take a look here. All right, pretty good. So this is our outline. Great. Please write the blog post. Now, I got to be honest. Gemini is not my favorite for writing content. I'll see how this comes out. I'm going to take this and also open up a ChatGPT, just because that's what I'm used to doing. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to paste this in. And we'll just see how they both come out. I just want to see how it does. So it's taking our outline, writing its own outline. Let's see here. Are you okay? Are you stuck in first gear? Mindset shift. The 5 raiseworthy functions. Actually, that's pretty good. Talks about all of them, why they're valuable, etc. Okay, let's see here. Great. Let's say this to it. We'll say, please write the blog post, but try to perhaps mix in some more advanced, let's see, advanced functions that these lead into, right? So we're starting from the basics and we're trying to go to the advanced because we're trying to advance somebody's career. So the basic functions into the more advanced functions. That way, it's a natural stepping stone to improving your worth at your job. Okay. So let's see how it does with that. So it's making the adjustments. That's really good. So copy, paste into Grammarly. All right, so we're at 1% plagiarism. That is straight out of the AI. It's actually giving us a very low AI score as well. Not that that matters. It doesn't matter. But we are looking pretty good here, okay? And it's really about getting the AI to think differently. Now, in your niche, when you're doing this for yourself, it's really important that you research what it is that you're doing. You want to actually now go through this, and I'm not doing that in the video because it would take forever. But what you want to do is you want to actually go through this line by line, make sure it makes sense, make sure it aligns with pretty much everything, and it should. But you'd want to like clean this stuff up. You want it to make sure it looks good and different stuff like that. You probably would want to add in a good call to action at the bottom or some kind of like the conclusion. You might want to actually modify this to Gemini. Write the conclusion so that it's a natural CTA to use to get $200 free DigitalOcean credit to start testing your skills. You see how that works? We're actually giving them a reason to go to DigitalOcean to start testing this stuff out, start learning, start playing around with the more advanced functions or the basic functions, whatever it is. Get them over to the site. That's a natural way to do it. It's going to get the click. It's a low bar of entry because they get the credit. You get the free money with it. It's a perfect offer. Okay, so check this out. Conclusion: from theory to tangible skill. You now have the roadmap. You've seen how to do it, but the knowledge without practice is temporary, right? So here's the reason to go over to our site to actually try this out. And what we'll do is we'll just throw this into the conclusion as well. We'll just check it for plagiarism because you never know. So it looks like we're still at the 1%. Let me just run it one more time here. Yeah, it hasn't flagged anything. Get rid of the extra conclusion. We don't need that. And probably just do something like that, from theory to technical skill, right? You want to go over there. We'll drop in our affiliate later, and we're pretty much good to go. Let's just see here. Okay, cool. Publish. Got our blog post. All right. Now, that was a lot of work. I would say that was what, 10 minutes of work. Let me show you the shortcut method, okay? So I actually made a plugin I'm going to upload it here. I'll show you guys. And I'll make it available to you as well. I think it's this one. Yes, it's this one. Super easy, all right? So what you will need is an API key from OpenAI. You load it up with $5, you'll get 20, 30 different blog posts out of this. So it's very inexpensive. I don't want you guys to get freaked out by the cost. And actually, these are the more expensive models. Let's just see here. Text, $5 for every million tokens. I mean, you probably use between 2 and 8,000 tokens per blog post. So you get 1 million for $5. So it's ridiculously cheap. And if you really want, you could go with the 4.0 mini, and it's 60 cents for 1 million. So it's egregiously cheap if you wanted to do this. So we activate our plugin, and I've got my API key here. Go over here to the AI content, my key. Okay, so you drop in your key, save. All right, setting saved. Cool. Now right here, we can put in whatever the niche is, okay? So we were doing SQL functions, right? So let's do execution order, okay? SQL execution order, comma, and we'll do the aggregate functions as well, because why not? Put a comma, put the other one in there, generate titles. Now what it's doing on the back end is it's talking to the API, and it's going to come back with our titles, right? So how easy was that? We've got the blog post titles. Remember, I had to ask it for 10 and it had to think about it. Okay. Here, boost your SQL skills, mastering execution order once and for all. How similar is that to the blog post we just created? It's very similar. So let's say we want that written for us, and let's say everything you need to know. Yeah, let's do everything you need to know, okay? So now you go down here, you click generate posts. Now it's going to go to work, and it's actually going to write the posts. And it's going to come back with our blog posts as drafts, okay? Now you will have to go in there and clean up how it looks, because it's going to come back kind of as like a weird text format. I'll show you guys how to do it though. It's not super difficult at all. All right, so it came back. It did throw an error, but I believe it worked. So let's just go in here to posts, and we have our drafts. So even though it threw an error, just ignore it. We've got our draft posts here, okay? So it actually did it twice. Not a fan of that. That's okay. Get rid of one. Okay, so let's take a look at what it did. Everything you need to know about SQL aggregate functions. In the world of databases, SQL is the backbone for, okay, the introduction, all right, the aggregate functions. It gives you everything. Everything we just created, the FAQ, gives you a FAQ section, all this stuff. Boost your SQL skills, okay? This is all about boosting your skills. Logical execution order, okay? That was the other keyword. Here it is. Syntactical versus logical, FAQ section, all stuff, okay? It's good stuff. We're going to copy this. Go to ChatGPT. You could do this with the free version, okay? Let's see what the lowest, I think 4.0 is the lowest that I can do. So 4.0, you just say clean this up, paste. Now it's just going to put in titles that are bold. It's going to look better. Let's see here. See, it made it nice, okay? Now let's just see how it did, okay? Let's see if it did okay with the plagiarism. Now, is it going to be perfect? It won't be perfect, but that is your job. Your job is to go in here and to fix it, to make it look right, to make sure that it's helpful and good. We've only got a 2% plagiarism score. So I actually aim for 2% and below. I will accept a 2% plagiarism score. So according to my standards, I wouldn't even have to touch this to be happy with it, okay? So I will take that. I already have everything highlighted. Copy, paste. That's our new version, okay? Just going to fix the title here. Boom. Publish, right? So everything looks good. Fact, everything looks nice. So to sum it up, we went over our niche. We found our keywords. We did our research. We created our content. I showed you how to do it manually. I showed you how to do it with the plugin. And if you're interested in the plugin itself, head to mattmakesmoney.com, opt in, and I'm going to be sending that out with the show notes from this episode. So in the next couple days, the plugin will go out to you. You can start doing this for yourself immediately. And if you like this video, smash the like button. Let me know in the comments. I'll catch you soon.